Welcome into SBR's College Football Closing Line Show, November 23rd. We're going over all the games. Maybe not all of them, but all the big ones. College football betting card. We got DJ Big Boss, Big Ragoo, Ian Cameron. I am Drew Martin, back after 1 week hiatus. But we're here to find some winners, more winners than losers on today's card, hopefully, guys. Big Ragoo from the state of Florida. Welcome in, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, welcome back. How was Mexico, my man? It's good to see you. Did you drink the water? And then how many tequila shots did you have while you were down there?
I didn't drink too much of the water. A little bit more cerveza and tequila, but overall, I'm alive, back in the good U.S. of A. and ready to bet some college football, Big Ragoo.
Let's get it done, my man. Good to see you.
All right, man. Good to see you and your partner in crime, DJ Big Boss, who banging sports, baby, here in Las Vegas at the New Orleans. Welcome in, brother.
Live from Vegas, man. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Let's cash some bets.
Let's cash them, buddy. And we got Ian Cameron, last, certainly not least, from north of the border. Big day north of the border, I believe, tomorrow, this weekend anyway. We got football, Canadian style, but college football on the show today. Welcome in, man.
Of course, it's CFL Grey Cup weekend, the 107th edition of the Grey Cup, 107 years. It's been around longer than the NFL, the CFL. That's how strong of a league it is. But yeah, looking forward to it. My Hamilton Tiger Cats are in it against Winnipeg tomorrow. We've got the Hamilton gear on. We've got my friend the Tie Cat behind me, the Tiger, ready to roar tomorrow, just like the team. So we're looking forward to a big, hopefully, championship win.
All right, man. We'll fit a little CFL preview in here with Ian. But, guys, first up, we got a kick here in less than an hour, a big one. Penn State, Ohio State here in the Big Ten, 58 being the total. We're seeing a big number here for two top 10 teams, guys. We got Ohio State minus 18.5 in the horseshoe, Ian. You think this number is a little bit too rich here for the Buckeyes?
It might be, but I'm not going against Ohio State. I made that decision probably weeks ago. I'm just not going to make a point of it to bet against this team. The problem you have is that Ohio State, recently they've played a lot of weaklings, and now they're going to have to rev it up and play, one of the best teams they've played probably since when they played Wisconsin. And we know how that ended. They obviously dominated Wisconsin, and certainly they're capable of dominating Penn State here. More than anything, I kind of like this total. I like it going over 57.5 points in this game. I don't think Penn State's slowing down Justin Fields in the Ohio State offense. I really don't. You're seeing a Penn State defense that I don't know if it's because of injuries, because it's a long season and defenses sometimes wear down, especially if you don't have great depth. Once you get into late November college football, the games pile up, the physical wear and tear piles up. This has not been the same Penn State defense the last couple of weeks. You look at Minnesota, they went up and down the field against the Nittany Lions 2 weeks ago. Tanner Morgan through the air. Rodney on the ground running the football was fantastic as well. And then last week, more of the same for Indiana. Against this Penn State defense. I thought Peyton Ramsey played a pretty good game at the quarterback position. They were able to run the football as well very effectively against the Nittany Lions. And you're starting to see this Nittany Lion defense get pushed back a little and blown up off the line of scrimmage not to the extent, obviously, that they did early in the season. So this has not been a Penn State defense that's been trending up. They've been trending down, and that could be a problem and maybe a bad time for that to be happening, having to face this Ohio State team. On the flip side, Ohio State's defense is really, really good. They've proven that. They might get Chase Young back as well. We're talking about how big a return that would be from the suspension. Very appropriate, very well timed that his suspension would end just before this big game against Penn State, and of course the Michigan game next week as well for Ohio State. But nevertheless, if they get him back, it's a boost. But Sean Clifford, I sort of criticized the guy early in the year. He's gotten better as the season's gone on for Penn State. The running back, Journey Brown, has really been solid as well. He has had some really good games running the football. He's not Saquon Barkley, but he seems to be getting better and stronger each week. And it seems like the more carries he gets, the stronger he is in games. So I think Penn State's capable of, putting up, 17, 21 points. And I think Penn State's more than capable of taking care of the rest, can get into the high 30s, low 40s. I really think, we're seeing Penn State give up 30s in points to Minnesota and Indiana. That doesn't bode well when you're facing Ohio State here. So I think Ohio State will have a lot of success. This game will go over the total.
All right, looking like that total looking a little low there for Ian. Big Ragoo, what are you thinking here, man? Ohio State, Penn State.
A tough spot for Penn State, and like Ian says, Ohio State's going to be really tough to go up against as far as the number goes. That's the thing. Every one of these Big Ten teams, that whole conference is structured defensively. If you look past, if you look at the defensive stats in this conference, I mean, they're all in the top tier of all the NCAA, college ranks. If you look at top 10, probably half of the teams are in there, but when they start playing these deep in November games, like Ian was saying, these teams, some of them have been bruised up a little bit, and seems like every team in the conference has stubbed their toe along the way when it comes to that big game. And even though 18 plus points is a lot of points to be given up against a quality program like Penn State, I still don't want to go up against Ohio State in this spot, but I think they can muster enough points to put the total over that I believe. I mean, if you look at last week, Ohio State was a huge 52 plus point favorite over at Rutgers. Now that was a fall asleep at the wheel type of game. So not a lot of inspiration on Ohio State's part to really get to that number, but just to tune up for this game, so to speak. So I'm not going to be on the side or the total in this game, but if I had to lean, I would lean over the total.
All right, liking the over as well. And what about you, DJ Big Boss? This one's going off in the horseshoe in less than an hour, man.
This one, I look at it, I see it as like a bait and switch game for college football. If you're a really good college football fan, then you really, you want to see Penn State beat Ohio State, for whatever reason, or you want to see Ohio State make it to the playoffs. Either or, but you'll get caught up in this game plus the number, trying to find a nice median for a decent bet. I kind of like what Big Ragoo got going on the total side, but I stay away from the side on this game. Usually in games like this, the stronger team just go ahead and take control, similar to Oklahoma Baylor game right there. You always want to take the points in such a tough game because you want, in a tough game, the other team's always trying to win. So if you want to get out there and you want to have a chance to win and, put up your shiny card and say, hey, I was on Penn State when they beat Ohio State, then, go for it. But if you're a real, solid guy, you don't want to make too many tough moves, but you want to play on the game and you back Ohio State, then take Ohio State minus a point. It's no big deal. If Ohio State win, they probably win by a large margin. But if Penn State really comes to play, then it should be a shorter score in that game. I like Penn State. I like what they've done. They kind of did it kind of silently this year, but they have a good offense, good defense. But Ohio State, man, they like fired up, man, on all cylinders. They had a high-powered offense, high-powered defense. I wouldn't get in the way of Ohio State on that one. I mean, it's been a while that they've been trying over in that conference to, really get, make a presence in the playoff right there. And Ohio State is their team over there this year. And I back them. If I had to make a play, I'd probably take Ohio State. But I would probably, if I had to put my real money on it, I have to go inside of the total on that one.
All right, guys, good stuff to start off there with Ohio State, Penn State. We got Texas A&M, Georgia coming up next, and also my favorite on the card, San Diego State, Hawaii in late night action for division championship in the Mountain West. And then we're going to open it up to open mic section. Any games on the board, anything the chat box wants to hear about, money line underdogs and best bets coming up. We got a bunch of guys in the chat box. Top Set in the house. Comic Ricky, he's here. Nut Flush Allen, Don Ricci as well. Some good guys in the chat. Great handicappers as well. Talking about what the New Orleans there. DJ Big Boss, Comic Ricky saying he met his first wife there. Nice place and good place to meet the opposite sex as well, guys. But getting back to finding some winners here, we got Texas A&M at Georgia in Sanford Stadium, between the hedges, 3:30 Eastern on CBS kick here. Low total, guys, 43.5. DJ Big Boss, we got 13 here. The Georgia Bulldogs laying at home. That defense, man, that's something else. Kellen Mond, in Texas A&M, DJ Big Boss, they've kind of beat who they should have beat on their schedule so far this season, lost to who they should have lost to, but it seems like kind of a down year. Maybe I guess you could say that toss-up game to Auburn, competitively priced game anyway. They did drop that. But other than that, really have beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They just haven't stepped up in class very well. They're going to have to step up in class here on the road. You think 13's enough to kind of tickle your fancy here on the Aggies?
Now, neither one of these teams in this game will be scared of each other, not one bit. They're sized appropriately in these. I basically see these teams basically as the same. And when I find two teams that are very similar, I usually take the under in that game. But although the line is already, leaning under and tough situation to jump in there at the low total right now. But if I were to jump in this one, I'll go ahead and go after the under in this one. And I'd also take a shot with Texas A&M getting the points. I think they're going to grind it out. I look at Georgia as being a big, slow team. I don't see them as fast in any set. They take their time to try to play games. We've seen them against Notre Dame. We've seen them in some of the other games. So the under is real live in this one right here. I think these two bump heads the whole 4 quarters, and we get a small score like 17-10 or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that happening, low scoring game. And Big Ragoo, Jake Fromm, I feel that he's really underrated. When people start talking about the top quarterbacks, I know sometimes, he's missed on his completion percentage, but overall, he's made some big plays in some big games to keep Georgia here in the playoff talk. Actually, a top 4 team, I believe. -13, though, a different question here against the Texas A&M Aggies. Yeah. You interested in getting involved?
Yeah, I'm involved in this game already. I talked about this earlier in the week. This game, the way it sets up for Georgia, they control their own destiny. We all know that. And A&M, they're like that. They're like that big brother. I'm going to say big brother, little brother team, but they're just a step below, the elite teams, LSU, Alabama, and Georgia in this league. They've got a lot of nice players, a lot of nice. They do play an up-tempo style game here, which is probably going to be their key to success if they were to have any success against Georgia here. Kelly Mond is a nice quarterback. He's battle tested. They're like I said, the tough losses they had against their top 3 competitors in the league. They're looking at a New Year's Day game possibly if they're trying to get there somehow. Some magic if they get a quality win here that might propel them onto the page. I just think there's too many points to lay with Georgia in this type of spot for them to they'll probably move forward here, but they're going to have to catch a little lightning in the bottle. A&M is to get the W, but 13 I think is way too many for the way this game is going to dictate with pace with A&M. We know Georgia's going to try to do some play action, get the ball into the running back's hands and push the ball down the field with Big Spiller on the other side of the ball for A&M is going to have some good looks, maybe a little play action there. But I think it sets up well for the points in this game, to take the points. But I think Georgia will ultimately come out with the victory, but A&M is going to come out on the plus side with the points.
Ian, I agree with Big Ragoo. And also, Kellen Mond, like you said, a good quarterback overall, kind of has all the I guess you could say the athletic ability, the arm strength, everything kind of points to him possibly playing at the next level. It's just he really hasn't kind of stepped up in class and against the big boys performed really well. Do you think this is a day you can kind of turn it around and you like the Aggies here plus the points?
Kellen Mond's what's keeping me off A&M, to be honest. And I don't want to lay it with Georgia because there just don't seem to be that team that's got that dynamic, explosive, quick strike offense that maybe we thought they might have early in the season. Jake Fromm's been good, not great. The running game, even with Swift, been good, not great. And they've just done good enough, and they've just been more than comfortable just finding ways to win and not necessarily win by margin. And we know Jimbo Fisher at times in the underdog role in his career, going back to when he was at Florida State, was very good in the underdog role. And A&M's a capable team. They're a solid enough team. But the problem I've got, and even though I would only probably take the points, is that Kellen Mond's a mistake waiting to happen against any good defense he plays. That defensive score, that defensive mistake, that throw into coverage, that bad decision is just waiting to happen with him. And unfortunately, a lot of his bad decisions come in opponent territory or in the red zone. He just seems too often to just chuck the ball into coverage and there's your interception. And I'm worried that happens against Georgia's defense, which really the last few weeks has played extremely well. The under makes sense to me in this game, although it's gone down. It's very low. It's in the 40s now, 44 and a half with the total the last I looked. But it does get the sense to be a 20-17, 20-14 kind of game, probably between these two teams, so I would only look toward the under. I lean A&M, Drew. I think it is a few too many points, but I just worry that this could be 7-point, 10-point game, fourth quarter. Kellermont's trying to force things, trailing in this game, and it results in either a short field or a score the other way for Georgia, and it busts up your bet. As I've seen that happen before a couple of times with him this year at the quarterback spot for A&M. So I lean A&M, but I didn't bet it.
I agree with you, Ian. I want to see him do it at the top level before I invest my money back in Kellen Mond. Although I do think he can turn it around. He has the ability to do so. Guys, we got Sebastian in the chat box saying, I feel like A&M gets a sneaky cover, maybe through the back door, throwing it down the field, catching nearly 2 touchdowns. Fat Fist says he's going to Fat Tuesdays down there in South Florida. Be careful, man. You can't even taste the alcohol at that place. Sneak up on you. We got the Mountain West one, DJ Big Boss, talking about Mountain West, I believe, does it best. I think I've heard you say in the past. And this one is a good one for the division championship. The winner of Hawaii, San Diego State, going to the Mountain West championship game. That's saying something for this Hawaii program, what they've been able to put together. I believe, only one winning season in the last maybe since 2010, I think I saw 2011, something like that. You know, I just years ago, they were talking about possibly shutting down the program. Now playing game for the conference championship. San Diego State, the number was 3. They were catching on the island, DJ Big Boss. You like anything here with the Aztecs and Rainbow Warriors?
Hey, this is the degenerate special of the day. Comes on late, you know, for all those. If your bets don't make it on the way you wanted them to go, then hey, you got a second and third chance with Hawaii later on the night. I really like Hawaii in this one. They really can score. That offense has been testing and proven, and you know, they even opened up against some of the other better teams on defense. But the thing I worry about in the Mountain West with these defensive teams like San Diego State and Wyoming is once another offensive team gets up a couple touchdowns, it's very difficult for them to come back after that. And this guy, Cole McDonald, he's going to be aiming for the stars out there, throwing the ball all over the island, all over the island in this game later on tonight. And I don't think that San Diego State is going to hang in the long run. They may, I mean, if I were to take San Diego State, I would probably take them first half, and I'd take Hawaii the second half, because I don't see San Diego State doing much if they have to work from behind. Now, we seen last night with Wyoming, they knew that situation. They took control of the game from the beginning to the end and pretty much kept a nice lead. They never had to come back. So they walked away with the victory. I don't think we're going to get that same look with the defense over at San Diego State against the Hawaii team that's going to test that secondary big time. And that secondary was a little better last year than they are this year. So I expect Cole McDonald fired up, well-oiled and everything ready to go. I think he gets the win tonight in Hawaii on the island.
All right, liking the Rainbow Warriors on the island. We got Big Ragoo, and shout out to Big Ragoo at Big Ragoo 62 on Twitter. Put out a video just last night. If you followed him in Friday Night Lights action, you cashed with the Wyoming Cowboys. I'll tell you, Big Ragoo, I watched the video. I agreed with everything you said. I liked Wyoming. I didn't have the balls to get there. I just thought the number was too big in terms of because their offense can be plodding at times, not really, you know, firework type offense. But right. Craig Bowl and company, he is a great coach, and it was the right side all the way. 17-7, yeah. Your bet cashed at Big Ragoo 62 on Twitter, man. But what are you thinking tonight? Back to back in the Mountain West. The DJ Big Boss brought up degenerate special. I agree with him. It's my favorite time slot here to be betting college football, but at the same time, it's a play-in game for the conference championship game. To put degenerate special kind of has mixed emotions for me. Either way, great game to watch, great game to bet. You looking to get on either side or maybe a total on the island tonight?
Well, I got to consult with my guy on that one, because that's kind of, to be honest with you, I didn't really get into the deep dive on that game. But on the surface, definitely I would have to look at Hawaii playing on the island, because you know, hanging around with my guy for so long, you know, we talk a lot of Mountain West stuff here. And I know Fresno, like you said, it's a game that has you know, Mountain West championship implications. And my first thought was right away to the over. And then the more I looked at it, I said, you know, short number at home on the island, the 3 points. It's either Hawaii or pass for me. Okay,
Hawaii or pass for Big Ragoo. And Ian, man, interested to get your opinion here. I know you know these two teams, like to bet the late night stuff as well. What do you got action on the island tonight?
Yeah, obviously, and they're going to be up against it. Obviously, whoever wins, they're playing at Boise State likely in the other side for the Mountain West Championship. But still, this is tremendous for Hawaii that they're even in a position where they're playing at home with a chance to be in the Mountain West Championship game. It's been a really fine season for Nick Rolovich, and I wish them well. And I definitely lean Hawaii. But there's something that's keeping me from pulling the trigger here, and it's the fact that San Diego State just doesn't have the better defense. They've got the much better defense. They really, really do, and I'm worried about that, especially considering the team with the much weaker defense is the team laying points in this game. That's the only thing that's keeping me off Hawaii. The one thing that's working in Hawaii's favor, obviously, other than the fact that they're playing this game at home on the island, is the fact that if there's a weaker part of that San Diego State defense, even though they're still pretty good, it would be against the pass. They're phenomenal against the run. They're only giving up 66 rushing yards per game. But against the pass, they've given up 204 passing yards per game. They've at least been a little bit vulnerable. Now, that's not bad, but they've been a little bit more vulnerable, at least the Aztecs, for as good as their defense has been against the pass than they have been against the run. And that, in theory, should work well for Hawaii, which is a very pass-heavy attack, the run-and-shoot type of offense that they run since Rolovich has been there at the helm. So, I wish Hawaii well. I think there's people that think Hawaii's ready, has the maturity, has grown leaps and bounds enough this season that they can get this done. That's why Hawaii opened 1, and I think it got pushed up to 3 in this game as a favorite. But Brandon Agnew has played a little bit better lately, the quarterback for the Aztecs. He's really more of a game manager type quarterback, but he has played better in recent weeks. It's just a concern for me, guys, that, Hawaii's defense is still, when you look at their numbers, they're still giving up points. They gave up 40 to San Jose State. They gave up 41 to Fresno, 31 somehow to New Mexico, 56 to Air Force, 59 to Boise. Like, this has been a defense that hasn't been able to stop anybody lately. And there is a huge class difference defensively with these two teams. And unfortunately, the much better defense is catching points, the much better defense. And that scares me enough that I'm not backing Hawaii, even though I'm rooting for them. I hope they get it done. It would be a breath of fresh air to see Hawaii, not the same old guard in the Mountain West Championship game like San Diego State. It's like, give it a rest, Aztecs. You've been in this title game enough over the years. Let's give Hawaii a chance. I hope they do it. But I worry about that defense. And again, it's the much weaker defense laying points. And that's normally something I don't like laying.
Good point, Ian. And I'm with you in terms of liking Hawaii, rooting for it. It's a great story, what they've been able to do in their program. But, guys, I bet this game as well. Late night action here. San Diego State, I think, is the side. Catch the points here on the island. Both of the last 2 times Rocky Long in this program have gone out to the island, they've not only covered the spread, they've covered the spread with ease. They're also getting extra time to prepare to make this trip out. They played Fresno State not last Saturday, during the week last time, so extra time there. And like Ian said, the much better defense. Now, quarterback-wise and throwing the ball downfield, yes, Hawaii has the advantage, but this San Diego State defense is for real, and it shows. And they're over-under, only 1 over this season, 9 unders. This defense is good, and Hawaii does give up a lot of yards on the ground, giving up over 200 yards multiple times, over 300 yards to that Air Force offense.
Yeah,
so I think San Diego State will control the clock here. And I think the Aztecs are the side in this one. You can get 2.5, you can get 3. So San Diego State plus the 3 is the way I would look at this one. That is the late night action here, guys. And appreciate everybody joining us early on the West Coast, 11 a.m. Eastern time, each and every Saturday through college football season. Ian, we're gonna open it up here to open mic section. But did you want to take a little bit of time and kind of preview the CFL action for tomorrow's big Grey Cup game?
Yeah, we'll do that now quickly. Hamilton, Winnipeg. It's going to be 2 former college quarterbacks at the helm of these teams. Zach Collaros, who was at Cincinnati with the Bearcats many, many years ago, quarterback for Winnipeg, and of course Dane Evans at Tulsa, who has taken over for Hamilton in light of the injury to Jeremiah Masoli and done a phenomenal job. I think Hamilton, not to put the Homer glasses on, but they're 16-3, best record in the CFL. They've been the class of the CFL start to finish this year. Complete team, offense, defense, special teams. I think they win the game. Laying 3.5 is tricky, though, because this number's gone up. It was actually 2, I think, when it opened. It's 3.5 now. It's crossed past 3 on the Ticats as favorites. Winnipeg's 8-1 against the spread as a dog, and I keep thinking to myself, man, how can you really, with any sort of conviction, bet against Winnipeg catching points? They've just been automatic in the underdog role. So I think Hamilton wins. It could be close. They could win by a field goal. They could win by 6 or 7. I don't think they'll win by more than that. I think it'll be a very competitive game, but I am a little bit leery of laying 3.5. Maybe look at the over as well, 51.5, because weather is going to be unseasonably warm for Calgary tomorrow in late November. 42 degrees Fahrenheit, which is tremendous for Calgary, Alberta, Canada, in late November. That's outstanding with clear skies, not much wind, no precipitation, and in the 40s Fahrenheit wise. That's about as good as you could ask for Grey Cup weather. So I think you'll see some points in that game, and Hamilton pulls it out. Just a question of do they cover.
Okay, good stuff, Ian. And hey, just real quick here, man. I've heard some grumblings of what this week is like with the Grey Cup. Is it that wild in Canada? It's a really week you guys take real serious here.
Oh yeah, it's got national TV coverage. Oh yeah, they have a ton of pregame entertainment. They have a halftime performance as well, just like the Super Bowl does. It's very Super Bowl-esque in terms of the presentation, in terms of the coverage it gets leading up to the Grey Cup. It's a big deal, and it's watched by it's one of the most watched events in Canada. Every single year, the Grey Cup. So it's the football, it's the Canadian football party, if you will, although the Super Bowl still gets a ton of ratings here too. I mean, Canadians love their NFL and they love the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowl is watched by tons, like multiple millions of people here. But the Grey Cup is as well, and the Grey Cup is going to get excellent viewership, I think, once again. And it's on ESPN2, by the way. Those of you wanting to watch the CFL Grey Cup, Sunday, 6 p.m., ESPN2 will have the game.
All right, good stuff, Ian Cameron. DJ Big Boss, man, wanted to kind of open it up here to the card. Any games you wanted to throw out? We got Anthony in the chat box saying Virginia Tech -4. Have we talked about that one? We got some Indiana here. Indiana seems to be a team offensively that's moving the ball, maybe catching Michigan in a possible look-ahead spot here. You looking at anything on the card you wanted to throw out there to the watchers, DJ Big Boss?
I want to know if anybody else is on this Georgia State, Texas State game right here. Even though, it's a battle, it's a bum fight, but I see a lot of value. Alabama State came up on my radar for bad teams several times. And Georgia State, they're not, let's say, the best, classiest team themselves. But usually when we get a bum fight like this, the home bum usually does a good job in covering it. 10's not a bad number to cover. I like Georgia State. Who else likes Georgia State?
I like the Panthers as well. Dan Ellington, though,
he's going to play, I think, and I know that was not expected early in the week. So that's obviously makes a big difference. He's like, they have all offense, no defense, so they need him in there.
Yeah, we are seeing a big push here from Georgia State -11 to minus as low as 7.5 now at Penny. Looking at SBR odds right now, guys. I would look to buck that trend, DJ Big Boss. I think Georgia State's the side.
I absolutely do too. I just wanted to see if any of my low baggers out there felt the same way. I don't want to be on this one alone, guys. Let's bring them in.
With Ellington, here's the thing, though, as I ripped Georgia State for having a bad defense, and they have a horrible defense. So it's in a sick, perverse way. This is a fascinating game to watch because something's got to give. Georgia State's offense is horrible, Georgia State's defense is horrible, but South Alabama's offense is equally horrible. Something has to give here in this game. What's going to win? It's kind of like the Giants and the Bears tomorrow in the NFL. The Bears' offense is horrible. Yeah, so the Giants' defense is horrible. So what the hell is going to win out in that football game? Something's got to give there. Something's got to give here because the Georgia State defense is terrible, but you could say the same thing about South Alabama offensively.
And Big Ragoo, we're talking a little Fun Belt action here. And as we get into November, the handicaps get kind of tricky in the Sun Belt. I know you kind of had your eye on what the Troy Trojans, their quarterback Parker, he can throw it around, man. Are you looking to bet on the Trojans catching some points today?
That was a game that caught my eye late. I was going to talk about some Big Ten, but let's talk about this game a little bit. So you got Troy, who's 5-5 against UL Lafayette, but the Cajuns, the Raging Cajuns, and the people, they call their team Louisiana. We call it UL Lafayette, but they call it Louisiana. But Baker, for Troy, he's a nice quarterback. He's got like the 5th ranked stats overall in NCAA Division I. He's got over 3,000 yards. The team's scoring like 40 points a game. So they're a high power offense. They can score points. But and then on the other flip side to that, you got a Lafayette team that puts up about 500 yards a game, close to that, and they're fighting. This game here means a lot to Lafayette also. If they win this game, then they go to the Sun Belt Championship. So it's a big game for them. It's a big game for Troy. I see a lot of points being scored in this particular game here, And then also I was looking at the total. I mean, the number. The number is 14. It's a big number. I don't know if Troy will stay within that number, but I was kind of leaning more towards the total, looking at the over possibly, and then maybe a little action on getting the plus 14. I think Troy's going to get their share of points in this game. Is my point. So either you have to look at Troy with the side, or possibly look at the over in this particular spot here. What do you guys think about that?
I like Troy. You're right. Everything you said about Barker, I think that if you watch him throw the ball, I mean, he's got talent, man. He can really throw it. Almost like, next level type quarterback. Not saying he's going to make an NFL squad or anything like that, but he kind of has that profile. And in the Sun Belt, man, if you have a quarterback that can throw it like that, you can cover some numbers and you can win some games. So, I'm with you. It'd be Troy Trojans or pass. I don't know how you feel.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of points to be given a pretty capable offensive team. Chip Lindsey, of course, has been there this year. They've gone at a more faster clip offensively, and it's really worked well. It's suited well with Barker. He's played really well at the quarterback spot. The Lafayette's a really good team, and certainly a much better defense. I understand why they're favored here. But Troy's offense has been able to score on a lot of teams, even some pretty decent defensive teams. So it's a lot of points. I'd lean Troy. I definitely like the over. I bet that even in the low 70s. I think that's 35, 34, something like that, or actually 42, 35, something like that. Because, again, Troy plays very fast. Lafayette can have quick strike playmaking ability, and I think you'll see that one be a higher scoring game.
Guys, we got our boy Paco Healy in the chat saying, call me crazy, but I think LSU covers the 43 against lowly Arkansas. Not sure how you guys feel about that game, but I will bring up the fact, big spreads can kind of be an interesting handicap in themselves come late college football, the way the SEC does it before rivalry week, playing the kind of next level down. In terms of big spreads this week, I like Air Force, the Falcons over New Mexico. If I'm laying a big spread, guys, especially this time of year in college football, I love to go against teams that have quote unquote quit on the season. And Bob Davies' group, Bob Davies likely, done after this year. I feel that New Mexico, they've given up all kinds of crazy rush yards. They're injured all over the place, going up against that triple option. I think it's just the perfect profile in terms of, when you're going up against the triple option and you can't stop it in the first quarter, it's not like you're going to figure out how to stop it in the third and fourth quarter, and they're going to continue running the same offense. I feel like it's going to kind of snowpile here on the Lobos defense. I laid the 21.5 with the Air Force Falcons, also laid the 22. It looks like the market's agreeing, pushing it up to as high as 24 now. But it's one of those situations where I still think Air Force is the side. Not sure if any of you guys have an opinion on that one, or DJ Big Boss. Any other games you wanted to throw out here on the card?
When we talk about a big favorite, I like Appalachian State this week. They're on the verge of trying to clinch the conference as well as bowl berth and all that good stuff. And they're playing a team that they can get by on the day. So I'm rooting for Appalachian State. I think I got it at minus 28. I didn't see it up higher. I seen it lower, but it's a lot of points to lay. But last week we had an Appalachian State team who went down a little bit in the first half, and not only did they come back in the second half, but they also covered. That's the type of adversity that I like to see teams, prevail in. And when they did that, they got my eye. So even with a big margin right here, I think they blow them out this week.
All right, we got David asking plus 42 on UMass against BYU, maybe. So that's looking the other way towards the big underdog. Ian, did you have any games you want to throw out on the card here?
Yeah, there's a bunch. We'll throw them out in rapid fire because I know we've only got about 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes left. So I'll just blast through them all right now and save the best bet for the end of the show. Let's start with Temple. I don't understand why they're getting 10.5 against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, to me, is a team that is just – they're unimpressive offensively. Desmond Ridder, I don't think, is even 100% healthy. right now. He certainly didn't play like it last week. They were life and death to squeak by South Florida, a bad South Florida team, a poorly coached South Florida team. And Cincinnati, to me, is not one of those teams that I trust to move the football up and down and cover a number like this against any sort of capable team and defense. Temple does have that. And Anthony Russo at quarterback has gotten better progressively as the season's gone on. I thought they played really well back-to-back games. They beat South Florida more convincingly than Cincy did. And, of course, the win against Tulane as well. So Temple's starting to come on, catch fire. Cincinnati just not a team I trust in this price range. So I think Temple plus 10.5 is worth a look there. I'm not going to belabor the point, but it's Tom Herman again in the underdog role, and I'm on Texas there, especially with Baylor off the just absolutely brutal, painful loss where they were up, 28-3, and I was on Baylor last week, so I was happy to see that. But I think this week's a really tough spot for them, coming off that game against Oklahoma where they seemingly had it wrapped up and couldn't get the job done. So liking Texas there. Some people in the chat mentioning Illinois. I agree. I really do. And I know Illinois has got some ugly stats, and I know Iowa is a team that in the trenches could really wear down Illinois a little bit. But, Illinois is coming off handing Minnesota their first loss of the season. And long-term under Kirk Ferentz, this is not a team that's easy to trust laying more than 2 touchdowns even at home. And Illinois, say what you will, they force turnovers. That's been a big part of their success. Peters, the quarterback, has been pretty solid. The offense has actually been capable, but still, you look at who they beat. They came back to beat Michigan State. I know Michigan State struggled offensively, still a good defense. They beat Wisconsin, which is a quality win. They're 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games. They've been an undervalued point spread team, and I think Illinois probably has a good chance to hang tough with Iowa in that game, catching 15.5 points there. I like the the ponies, SMU against Navy. SMU's only lost 1 game against Memphis. Yeah. Navy's pass defense, I can see them getting absolutely ripped apart by Shane Buechele and the Mustangs. Now, I know the Mustangs barely got by East Carolina last week, but that was the flat spot after playing Memphis. I think they rebound. This is really the loser is out of the AAC title picture, whoever loses this game. So it's a real big one. I just think, SMU catching more than a field goal is probably worth a look in that game. Syracuse and Louisville. Here's one of those late season scheduling situations you got to be aware of. Louisville's been great, and I haven't even considered betting against them at all this season, but they beat NC State last week to get bowl eligible. Their 6th win. That's a big deal for a young team under Scott Satterfield and his head coach. It's a great accomplishment after how everything went against them last year. But I think they're in a really tricky spot here. They had the bowl-clinching win last week against NC State. Next week they got a rivalry game against Kentucky. And Louisville, Kentucky, they always get up for those kind of games. And now you got to lay, 8.5 points in that range for a team that doesn't win a ton of games by margin, still has a very suspect defense, especially against the run. And that matters against Syracuse because Syracuse, they're not going to throw their way to victory. Tommy DeVito's a manageable quarterback, but he's not a prolific passer. You got to be able to run the football this season. It's not like Dungy or past quarterbacks. But what I like from Syracuse is they were 3-6 going into the game last week against Duke off the bye week. They could either packed it in. It's been a disappointing season. We're done. We got nothing left to offer. We're going to quit the rest of the way. They didn't. They won that game to get to 4-6. They thrashed Duke. And now all of a sudden you read the Syracuse quotes. They're thinking, we can maybe win these last 2 games, get bowl eligible. So I'd expect Syracuse to bring it here today in this game. It's a questionable spot for Louisville. Their defense is still suspect against the run. And Syracuse that's pretty much their main method of operation in terms of offense right now because DeVito is an okay passer, but not great. They have to be able to run the football. I think Syracuse stays within that number and makes that a close game.
Good stuff, Ian, man. Nice breakdowns. Multiple games there. Big Ragoo, did you want to throw anything else out on the card before we get to best bets?
Yeah, I got a couple. I'll be brief. I like, in a nutshell, Wisconsin is playing Purdue. Purdue is banged up offensively, defensively. 4 quarterbacks, couple wide receivers down. I like Wisconsin to smash them physical. Going back to Madison, looking towards that matchup with Minnesota, so they want to put their best effort forward here. And another game I like as a dog, it's going to be my dog play today. It's going to be Pittsburgh playing Virginia Tech in that game. I think that game's a perfect matchup for them. Fuentes was on the hot seat a few weeks back. They're playing very well of late too. So I just like the matchup there. I like Pittsburgh as a money line dog getting the 4 points and sprinkle on the money line. I like that game a lot there too. And then the other game we talked about was the Detroit game. I'm on that game. And then that's all I got there until we get the best bets.
All right. Well, money line underdog. I'll throw in San Diego State plus the 3 also on the money line. That's in the degenerate special category there. 11 p.m. Eastern kick there, so 8 p.m. Pacific kick on the island. Looking to go on San Diego State plus the 3 also there. Sprinkle a little bit on the money line. DJ Big Boss, did you want to throw out a money line or any other picks here before we get to best bets?
Money line dog better today. I don't know why we haven't talked about this. Where I'm from is one of the biggest rivalries in the city, and that's USC and UCLA. Now, Kelly comes into this one, and Kelly, in his tenure over at Oregon, he was able to get out some wins on USC. So he's not scared. He goes in here knowing what he's getting into. And all my USC friends, they're hoping to lose so they could 86 the coach officially. So with the points they're giving up in this one, I like UCLA plus the points, and also like them on the money line as well.
Dang, liking UCLA in that one. DJ Big Boss, you think I know you're there in LA most of the time. You think Clay Helton is the coach week 1 next year for USC or no?
Absolutely not. They did the reason why they wasn't able to fire him before is because they have a big scandal going on with the officials over the school. One of them had to step down, so it was nobody with enough authority to be able to get rid of him. So he hung on by a thread, made it into this season, and as you see, he's been pulling everything out of his socks, shoe, everything to try to get this team going and try to secure his job. But now they have this young lady in there that's going to be working, in the athletic director or something like that. And she's going to come in there and probably give the go ahead to have this guy out of there. But these guys really want, what's his name over there from Ohio State? I don't know why. I got a loss of memory right now.
Yeah.
All these guys are rooting. They want Urban Meyer big time at USC. And, Urban Meyer's a classy fella. It's a couple things go on if he comes over there and stuff like that. So no, I don't see him there next year. So I don't know what new face they're gonna get.
All right, guys. Well, great show so far. We got best bets coming up. About 300 people watching right now. We really appreciate you guys joining us. If you could smash the like button, that does help us out. We got best bets 11 a.m. Eastern time each and every Saturday. This is SBR's closing line show, going over the college football card. Also threw out some CFL as well about 20 minutes ago with Ian Cameron. We got the Grey Cup coming up tomorrow. But, guys, it is that time for best bets. We got kickoff here, the 12 noon Eastern kickoffs going in about 10 minutes. So we'll go around the horn here. Ian Cameron at Babano on Twitter. Lead us off with best bets, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens this way, but I've been doing well with these Conference USA totals, and we've got another one today that we're going to target for best bet. It's Western Kentucky, Southern Miss. We're going to go over 51.5 in this game. If you look at Western Kentucky's offense in recent weeks, Ty Story's playing well, really well, getting better each week. The offense is getting more explosive and more dynamic every week. The Hilltoppers, they're putting up points against a lot of decent teams that they've played. They've scored 122 points their last 4 games combined, averaging over 30 points per game during that time. Southern Miss defense, lately you're going to see the results look pretty good, really good in terms of how the points allowed, yards allowed. Well, when you're playing Texas San Antonio, UAB, and Rice offense the last 3 weeks, you're going to look good. Defensively. I mean, that's not a good trio of offenses. I think Western Kentucky's definitely going to test Southern Miss defense a whole lot more with Story playing well, this team moving the ball much better than they did early in the season. And on the other side, I love Jack Abraham as a quarterback for Southern Miss. He's a great quarterback. He's done a great job with this Golden Eagles offense, very accurate passer. Western Kentucky's defense at times has been good, and early in the season they were phenomenal, but I think the defense is wearing down a bit. You look at two of the better offenses they've played in Conference USA this season, where Marshall and Florida Atlantic, they gave up 26 points or more in both of those games. And Southern Miss overall, you got to like their offense, other than what was, I think, kind of a flat spot after a big game against Louisiana Tech against Rice. Other than that Rice game, they've put up 30-plus points in 5 of their last 6 games. Southern Miss has had no problem moving the ball. It's a reasonable total, and it looks like weather in Hattiesburg, Mississippi for this game is going to be pretty solid for November. Sunny, not much wind. 51.5, yeah, give me Western Kentucky, Southern Miss over 51.5 for best bet.
All right, Ian, Cameron, and guys, I'll just go right next because I'm involved in the same game. I like Southern Miss -3. A lot of the same reasons Ian points towards the over, I think translates towards Southern Miss's offense. Jake Abraham, in my opinion, the best quarterback, top 2 quarterbacks in Conference USA. Southern Miss really underrated, in my opinion, in Hattiesburg. Great place to play. Those fans like to get very hydrated before the game. Should be a loud atmosphere. And I think Western Kentucky, like Ian mentioned, their defense wearing down a bit. I think Southern Miss kind of takes it to them. -3 flat. So Southern Miss -3. Ian liking the over of 51.5. That's the Western Kentucky Southern Miss game. Guys in the chat, throw out whatever you think the best bet on the board is. We got Paco Healy and company like in Nevada. A couple people like in Nevada to win today. So let us know here in the chat box what you guys are liking. DJ Big Boss, man, best bet on the board. What do you like, bro?
Hey, in the words of the late, great Biggie Smalls, it came to me like a song I wrote, and I'm jumping on BC plus the points in this one. Notre Dame fan for so long. I don't see us getting past this one. I've been trying to think my way out of this so many ways. I mean, I did get surprised with double digits when they played Bowling Green, but this Boston College team is no Bowling Green. We still have issues at the quarterback. Everything's a struggle for Notre Dame with players being injured, the quarterback situation. With all the stuff going on there, I don't see them gelling together to win by 21 at some places right now. So my best bet is going to be against my best team, which is Notre Dame, but I'm taking Boston College plus the points. I took it at 19. It's up to 21. I'll take it again.
All right, BC plus 21, best number on the board for DJ Big Boss. Remember, you breaking it down. He's going against his team. That might mean something here, plus the 3 touchdowns. BC on the best bet. We got some guys saying in the chat box, Sebastian saying, I like West Virginia plus the points against Oklahoma State. Little insight here, which I know Ian Cameron knows a little bit about. Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders, their quarterback, out, but their backup, a guy named Drew Brown from Hawaii a few years ago. I thought he was pretty good. Ian, any little insights here on the Oklahoma State-West Virginia game?
Yeah, I think there's value to Oklahoma State, to be honest. Now, Drew Brown's not a huge draw. Spencer Sanders has had a really, really good season for Oklahoma State, but Drew Brown can play. He's had experience. He played in Hawaii for a long time. He's had started many games in college football, obviously none in the Big 12 yet, but I think he's capable. And I think if people are betting West Virginia a ton like they have been early in the week because of the quarterback situation, it might be carrying it a bit too far. I'm still not a big Austin Kendall guy for West Virginia. That's for sure. He's been very, very erratic. Drew Brown, I think, is capable of playing. Not a strong play, but, you're getting a little value now because of the switch and I think Drew Brown can play. So I would actually look to Okie State there.
Yeah, and West Virginia, depending on what they do with their quarterback position, I believe Deggy taken some snaps lately as well. I like the over in that game, but I'm with you, Ian. I don't think there'll be too big of a drop-off. People talking about Spencer Sanders and his athletic ability. Drew Brown can run around as well, so I would look for Oklahoma State to be able to put up some points as well. So we got Ian on the over 51.5 in the Southern Miss Western Kentucky game. I am on Southern Miss -3 in that same game. DJ Big Boss going on Boston College plus 21, getting 3 touchdowns there against Notre Dame. Last, certainly not least, great college football handicapper from the state of Florida on Twitter at Big Ragoo 62. Finish us off, buddy. What do you got for best bets?
Yeah, I'm going to go along the lines with the backup quarterback. We're talking about guys stepping up. How about Ramsey stepping in for Penix at Indiana today? I think they could. He's a nice fill-in for what's going on in Indiana's been scoring a lot of points, and I usually hate Michigan as a favorite role. I think Indiana hangs close, but that's not my best bet. A buddy of mine tells me don't bet teams from Philadelphia. Well, guess what, Ant? I like the Temple Owls today going up against the Bearcats. I think Russo's doing a nice job over there. They got a nice balanced attack on the run side. Too many points for Cincinnati to be putting up in the favorite role against Temple here. I think Temple hangs tough with them. They may even get the win. Don't be surprised because head-to-head of late, these teams have been matched up pretty well. And I think Temple's covered the last 4, and with a few victories in there, maybe like 3 of them for that matter. So today my best bet is Temple plus the points and sprinkle some on the money line.
All right, we got Temple plus 10.5. That is at Bet Online. So Big Ragoo on Temple plus 10.5. DJ Big Boss BC plus 21 against Notre Dame. I am on Southern Miss -3 over Western Kentucky, and Ian Cameron on the over 51.5. Southern Miss versus Western Kentucky. DJ Big Boss, Ian Cameron, Big Ragoo. I am Drew Martin. Guys, next week is rivalry week. 11 a.m. Eastern time here. Closing line. Come back and join us. Please smash the like button on your way out. And best of luck with your bets, guys. We'll see you next week.
Good luck, everybody. See ya.